As time goes on, I refine the mineral management spreadsheet that I use. And recently, I've gone from the much more complex spreadsheet that has a lot of different information in it to a more simplified spreadsheet that combines the revenue tracking. So I'm going to share that with you. You can find it in the link below, and we're just going to run through that spreadsheet really quickly. Okay, so this is my simplified mineral management spreadsheet. And you can see over here, in the ownership tab is the first one. And this tab lists all of the minerals that you own, both the producing and the non-producing minerals. It's much more simplified. And so let's just go through column by column. The first one we have is the state and the county, which are kind of obvious. Some people have minerals in multiple areas, and so it's good to know exactly where those minerals are. The legal description I used to have split out, and now I put it all into one column because different states use different methods of describing the property. For example, you often see the southwest corner of Section 27, Township 5 North, Range 11 West, for example. In Texas, you'll see an abstract and a survey. So whatever your legal description is, it goes in this column here. This column status is for whether your minerals are producing, they're shut in, they're leased, they're unleased, they've been plugged. Whatever it is for that particular well, then you want to go ahead and put the status in there. This column here for lease, unit, or well is the name of the lease, unit, or well. Different states and different areas have leases, or they have, sometimes you have a lease that has multiple wells in it, and the public data does not split out the production by well, and so therefore you would just report this perhaps by lease. And there's also areas where we don't describe it as leases or wells, but as units. So whatever it is that you have, you can put it in this column. And then here's a column for the operator. Now the operator may or may not be the same as the payer. Sometimes you have small operators and they actually outsource the paying of mineral owners to a different company. So you may receive your checks from CHS, but really Scout Energy is the one that's operating the well. This is all dummy data in here. I just wanted you to see, what this would look like for Texas versus Oklahoma. In this column here, we have ownership, and this is the ownership that you have in that lease or that well, and it may be different than your ownership in your interest, but sometimes it's pooled or unitized. So this is the ownership that it shows on your division order and also your royalty checks. Okay, so the next column is the title. So it could be from a mineral deed or some other kind of property deed. There might be an affidavit of heirship. You might be granted this via a probate document. You want to put that in this column here because that can be important when you go to transfer your mineral rights to your heirs or you sell your mineral rights. These are things that are important to know. The next column is for the source. It's always good to know where you got these mineral rights. Most people inherit their mineral rights, and so you can just put the name of the person you inherited it from. You may want to put a whole string of people to keep in mind and pass on that information to the next generation. The next column is the property taxes that you last paid. And in this column, I'm just putting the year that I last paid the property taxes. Because it's broken out by like well or unit, you could change this and put the amount of property taxes you paid. You can add columns here and put more information if you want, but this is how I have it right now. I have another spreadsheet where I'm tracking that in more detail. Okay, the last couple columns here are for tracking your 1099 revenue. And if we go down to these tabs across the bottom, we're going to take, say, this row right here, or actually anything by Merit Energy. Every time I get a check from Merit Energy, I'm going to enter it into this revenue tracking tab. And so here I have added those two leases and my ownership in them. So that way when I get the royalty check, all I need to do is reference this really quickly and make sure that nothing changed. And I go ahead and enter the basic information for that check in the next line here. I just add a line and add it there. And then at the end of the year, I'm adding how many months I received revenue and what that total net revenue was. And then I'm going to compare it to the 1099 when I get that. So of course, you can always check other things as well. Like a lot of people look online and they check and make sure the production numbers match, and that's always a good idea. But I'm not doing that in this spreadsheet because I really am using this for just tracking ownership and revenue, which is, for me, what I feel like is the most important things to track. So you can go to the next operator and you can rename this, whatever your operator is. Let's see, my next one would be Scout Energy. So I would rename this Scout Energy. And I would put the lease name here, the ownership, and then as I get checks, I will enter this information. And then once a year, when I get my 1099s, I will make sure that that is looking good too. So you can just add all of your operators, and mine goes all the way across. I must have 20 plus operators at this point. But this simplified version I really like, and probably in 6 months I'll add to it and change it. But for now, I wanted to share this with you guys. Hopefully it's helpful. There will be a link below